Hi everyone, welcome back to Monday Positivity. Welcome to another episode, and I'm actually thrilled to introduce you to a guest today who not only brings a wealth of insight but also a deeply personal journey that touches on a multitude of subjects. In this episode, we're joined by Charity, whose soft spoken demeanor belies the depth of her experiences and the breadth of topics she covers. From navigating the complexities of life with a mother diagnosed with borderline personality disorder to delving into the fascinating realm of high sensitivity, she offers a unique perspective that resonates with many. In this episode, she talks about, her own life, and she sheds light on the biochemical nuances, discussing how serotonin levels differ in highly sensitive people. And until this episode, even I wasn't aware of the fact that serotonin levels are actually low in highly sensitive people and how this trait can be genetically influenced. Moreover, she also talks about the difference between high sensitivity and hypersensitivity. And I think it's a very important topic that many people need to understand. And her insights actually extend beyond the personal realm. She's on a mission to encapsulate her experiences into a book, and she wants to help others navigate similar paths. And through her advocacy for diverse work environments and for the yellow rock, gray rock technique, yeah, if you're wondering what this technique is, stay tuned and listen till the end. She encourages listeners to prioritize self care and happiness over societal pressures. Beyond her literary endeavors, she also has her channel, YouTube channel, where she likes to share her passion. She delves into personal growth on her channel. She also shares book insights and even showcases her creativity, her creative pursuits like making earrings. And if you want to check her channel, I'll put the link in the description below. So join me in today's episode as we delve into the mind of this remarkable individual whose journey embodies resilience, introspection, and a steadfast commitment to personal growth. Please give her a warm welcome and enjoy the episode. Tell us, our viewers and listeners, a little bit about yourself and also about your journey, your professional journey, and how it was influenced, your career aspirations, how they were influenced, and your career in interior design and business also.
Yeah, so my name is Charity, and I have always loved art and learning. I've always wanted a career with purpose. So I was drawn to jobs that kind of blended those things together. And as a young adult, I had always heard from teachers and people like that the world is changing and you should go to a college or university to study. And so I chose interior design, and a part of that program, I was a few classes away from a business minor. So I took those classes and I also received the business minor that has really helped out with my current career path. And then also, growing up, I didn't realize that my mom had a personality disorder called borderline personality disorder. And so that really affected my life growing up. And I didn't realize about things like that or HSP until I became an adult. So it's been kind of interesting.
So, are you comfortable talking about your mother's personality disorder? Okay.
Yeah, I definitely want
So,
to help people and yeah.
right, yeah. So let's talk about that. How did that impact your sensitivity in both personal and professional contexts?
Yeah. So with BPD, each person can be different and show different symptoms. But with hers, she had a lot of like mood swings and rage. And so it was kind of like a roller coaster, being around her. And what I didn't realize as a kid, like I was growing up in a small rural town. I was born in 1985. And so as a kid, I didn't realize that I was a highly sensitive person, naturally, genetically,
Yeah.
and that I was also experiencing hypersensitivity, which would be like from the trauma and the stress and everything. So I had both types of sensitivity at the same time. And so now I'm learning kind of which one is which.
Yeah.
like, hey, if I'm experiencing this, which one of those is going on? And I would say that in personal and professional environments, there's a lot of overwhelm. Like I really want to do things and be productive, but I just, I absorb so much so quickly, so the overwhelm is a big thing. And then I also understand from my experiences, I understand that, they say hurt people.
Yeah.
So understanding that about others, has been a growing step.
Yeah. Okay. And let's also talk about pursuing a job with purpose and meaning, because we all want to do that, but at the end of the day, we have to pay our bills also, which can be challenging to maintain that balance. How have you approached navigating this balance in your career search as a highly sensitive individual?
So, when I was younger, like in the 1980s, the how do I put it? The socioeconomics were so different, people than they are now. And, people, the sky was the limit, kind of idea. And so I thought I was going to be this like world famous interior designer or on like HDTV or something. And I've kind of had, because of the adversities and things that have just gone on in the world and in economics, have had to switch gears. And so I really wanted to be like a leader and a creative decision maker for a good cause. But I've adapted by becoming an administrative assistant to people who are doing amazing work for the community. And that has been very fulfilling to me. And, so it's like it would have been nice to have gotten a different start in life, but at the same time, would I understand the things that I understand about people if I would have had that upper, start.
Yeah.
And then I also have a lot of nieces and nephews. So I try to be a good influence for them. And so I try to teach them some of the things that I know, and I've actually taken them to like my office and showed them around and things like that. So trying to for the future generations.
Right. And do you think, like, had you discovered your sensitivity early on, it would have had like a different impact on your choices, and it would have helped you, make those
Yeah,
decisions?
because um the community that I come from, it's really weird because there were different expectations. It was almost like there were so many expectations on you,
Yeah.
and there weren't a whole lot of people asking you, teachers were better, but there weren't a whole lot of people asking you like, what do you think about your personality and what do you want in life? So it was this very weird, like, you're not allowed to be sensitive, you're not allowed to care too much. But then also, like, if you were a female, it's like, oh, you need to be good and quiet and well behaved. So there were so many weird expectations, So
Right.
I think that learning about highly sensitive, being a highly sensitive person and the genetics behind that, and then also how trauma can create hypersensitivity, where you're like on the lookout, like who's going to do what and what's going to happen next.
Right.
I think that I would have felt more normal. And I could have, and I am a researcher, like I love learning and researching and reaching out to people. And that would have saved, if I could have learned that about that as a teenager instead of as an adult, that would have saved me so many steps and so much time.
Right. Yeah. I think that knowledge can, equip you with a lot of, tools and strategies. Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's talk about rejection also, because I think highly sensitive people, sometimes, not all of them, but some of them, they take rejection very seriously. And you also said that, you were denied a few jobs because they said that you are not, fit. And it can be disheartening. How do you cope with rejection and maintain resilience in the face of setbacks?
Well, I know that like slipping downward is easier than climbing in life, and so trying not to let myself slip back too much. Like, take time to be like my counselor, is really into mindfulness and what it truly is, rather than just a buzzword. And so I'm trying to learn like, you sit with something and you process it and that's okay, but
Mhm.
just don't let it like sink you down.
Right.
So learning that has really been helpful. And then like I really wanted a position that had something to do with like art and design and a purpose. But what I've done is I have an administrative assistant position for an educational program. So I really feel like that has a purpose.
Yeah.
And then I volunteer in the art community. And, that's kind of I'm also doing a good purpose, but it's fun, sort
Mhm.
of. So I took it and I split it. And, so that's been fulfilling to me. So it does take more time doing both of those, but it's also more enjoyable though, because when you're volunteering, it's kind of on your terms and you get to be more of yourself than when you're, in the office.
Mhm. Right. And I think it is important because if you are not able to, pursue your career in something you think you will find purpose in, what I have felt is just find, time for that specific activity that makes you, feel fulfilled, gives you, purpose. And
Definitely.
yeah, and you mentioned that, we need to sit with it and process, those hard emotions. What tools or strategies have worked for you? Like for me, personally, I find journaling very helpful. Just, write it all down.
I need to get better about journaling. I kind of have been kind of sort of working on like a book. Like I know I can't do it right now with everything that I have going on, but I have been writing things out in like a Word document.
Mhm.
And at some point in the future, I do want to try to publish that. So it's like my way of processing, but then also I want to share information and help people. And like I said, maybe if someone can find that and it helps them save some time in
Right.
stress. Um, and then also one of the things that she had told me was set like aside just like a small amount of time.
Mhm.
So like I had told her, oh, there's a social media group that is all about um the disorder that my mom had.
Mhm.
And so it's really good information, but I felt so drained in, like scrolling through and reading things and stuff. And so she said, just put aside a few minutes for that, like 10 minutes, to
Right.
work on that, but don't spend hours. So having a time limit for me has really been helpful. That way I feel like I've checked that box and I did that activity, but
Mhm.
it's not gonna eat the whole day or eat too much time away from me. So I think having a limit on it has like putting a boundary and a limit on it has been helpful.
Right. Yeah. I think regular self-care breaks, they are very
Mhm.
important, specifically for highly sensitive people. And let's talk about office politics also, and workplace drama that can be overwhelming sometimes for many individuals. And if you're a highly sensitive individual, then obviously it will be. Uh, how have you managed to navigate these challenges in the past when you were maybe having,
It's a
9 to 5?
it's a
Yeah.
yeah. It's a continuous process. I'm still like asking friends and family like, "Hey, this happened. What do I do?" Um, so sometimes when it's happening in the moment, I have this like saying to myself like, "Don't feed the monster." Like when I can tell someone's trying to, certain people are trying to like dig for something, I'm like, I'm not going to feed that. Um, and trying to stay out of the gossip, I think that's the biggest part is like manipulative people really
Mhm.
love the gossip because it allows them to give and take information. Um, and I know that it might feel good to be part of a group, like, ooh, I'm part of the group and I'm gossiping, not being gossiped about at the moment, but it's actually gonna like bite us in the
Right.
end,
Yeah.
And I would say that having, there's bad managers and there's good managers, so trying to gravitate toward the ones that are positive.
Mhm.
Um, Doing good work and making yourself useful to the right people. Um, you know, what I found is because there's a lot of people that I help, and once they learn like, hey, I can give her a project and she does it in a timely manner, in a good manner, then they keep feeding those projects to me. And if I can focus on that, that really helps. Um, And then I would say, it sounds funny, but say hello and goodbye to everyone when coming and going into work, because then it just gives them that little bit of connection.
Right. Yeah. And one thing, like you said, you know, like you said, we want to be part of the group. I think that is very important. Everybody wants that. But then, having a support system also, like you said, you can call somebody that, I'm going through
Yeah.
this and that. Because sometimes it's really like sometimes we have to compromise certain aspects. And, it takes toll on our mental health also, just to be part of the
Right.
group, we have to do all that. And what strategies or coping mechanisms have you found effective in dealing with overwhelm in the workplace and setting boundaries also?
For setting boundaries, it has been a huge thing. When I was a kid, like at school, the teachers would tell the class, like, oh, if you're being bullied or something, just walk away.
Mhm.
But like with my mom having that disorder, I wasn't allowed to like just walk away. That would actually make her angrier.
Right.
So working on boundaries has been a continuous process. And with like gossiping in the workplace, in dealing with manipulative people, I've recently heard about the yellow rock technique. Like I've heard of gray rock, but it's hard because when you're in a workplace, you can't just, block, you can't just I've tried it and to just like not deal with someone, but then you still have to work with them.
Right.
Um, so someone recently told me about the yellow rock technique, which is like a warmer version of gray rock, where you're warm and cordial, but when they start to veer into unprofessional things, like gossip or like, your personal beliefs or about like personal stuff,
Yeah.
that's when you put the stop to it and say, I don't talk about that at work. I'm not comfortable talking about that at work. So
Mhm.
you're still being friendly and working with them, but you're keeping it work focused. So it's like I really need to practice that um more now that I'm learning about it.
Mhm.
Um and then one of my previous supervisors, she taught me just because they do it doesn't mean that we do it. And so sometimes I'll literally hear her words when something is going on and I want to react,
Mhm.
and be equal, but I'm like, just because they're going to be that way doesn't mean that I'm going to be that way.
Right. Yeah. I think that's wonderful advice. You had also mentioned that I think when you were in university, you could set up your own schedule, right? And that provided you a sense of freedom and autonomy. How do
Yeah.
you reconcile the desire for, flexibility with the realities of traditional work environments? Because it's really hard to, be that flexible and find that sense of autonomy.
Um First, I want to say that it would be nice if we could all work together and advocate for different types of work environments because we all have, different biological needs and different cultural needs and things like that. So I would like it would be nice if we could get away from the cookie cutter a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know about where you're at, but where I'm at, it is very cookie cutter and it's like, you know, um, so I would say as an HSP, I definitely need to recharge more than others. But sometimes stuff happens like during the work week, that's very distracting, or I'm just very low energy. And so I will, if I need to take my computer home and work on certain things in the evening and certain things on the weekend. And I know that's not, you know, ideal, but it's like in order to keep up with, my required with the expectations
Hmm.
and then to do it, but then to also do it in a way where I can concentrate and focus.
Right.
Because sometimes there's so many things going on, like noise, like people chatting and stuff going on at work that I feel like I can't always give my actual work the focus that I need to.
Right. Yeah. And I think that, provides you that sense of flexibility also.
Yeah.
And now let's talk about slower pace of life.
Mhm.
How do you communicate your needs and preferences in fast-paced work environments?
So I'm still working on that.
Yeah.
Um, I would say asking like because what'll happen quite often is I assist several people, not just one person. And so when they give me a project, I will ask like what are the expectations and then what's the deadline for it?
Hmm.
Because for one project, they might want it in before the end of the day that day, or they might want it a week from then. So instead of me assuming, I think it is helpful to know what the deadlines are. That way I'm not, going at a fast pace for everything. Like, oh, I have to get this done like right now, right here. I
Hmm.
can kind of spread it out a little bit. And that way I'm not overwhelming myself,
Right.
with assuming that something needs to be done sooner.
Hmm. Right. And I
But I'm
think,
still learning. If you have any
yeah,
tips.
if I have any tips, I mean, like, I don't know if in like 9 to 5 environment, I think it all comes down to, self-awareness. Because when I was working, now I'm working as a freelancer, but at that
Right.
time, I would have preferred like slow-paced work environment, but I was not aware of my, self-care needs. I wasn't aware that I was a highly sensitive person, and I'm also projector in human design thing. I just came to know about it like few months ago. So
Wow.
yeah, it's like, I need more time, like you said, to process things and, regular breaks. But then it started taking toll on my physical health. And that led to, I mean, like finally I decided to leave the job. And then I started searching more on, the highly sensitivity and, the right kind of, work environments. But yeah, I don't know, like if traditional work environments still do something about that. I mean, if I'm
Mhm.
taking a project, if I'm talking to a client, I do tell them that, these are my requirements. And like you said, asking them what is the deadline, what are your requirements, how fast do you want me to work on it, or something like that. But yes, I think self-awareness and communicating your needs,
Nice.
that would be, I think, my tips, because even I'm still learning about it, and how I can balance these aspects. Let's talk about your career decisions and types of roles you pursue in your career. How has your sensitivity to workplace dynamics, like you mentioned, politics and gossip and all that, how has it influenced your career decisions? Because at one point it made me feel very isolated also.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to deal with that. Yeah.
Mhm. I think when I was younger, because when I was in school, they focused so much on like the task, like
Mhm.
what are you doing? And so I just focused on like, oh, I want to do art, design, and have a purpose, so I just focused on what type of job did I want.
Mhm.
Um, and what I think they're trying to teach kids now is what type of environment, what type of lifestyle do they want? And so for me, as much as I can, I really want to be around mentally healthy people and still be able to pay the bills, and which
Right.
is difficult. Um, and so I'm actually willing to take a pay cut for it. Like instead of just aiming for the top, I'm like, well, what environment is feasible for me?
Mhm.
And so like with my current position, there are the people that gossip, that's everywhere. But my main supervisor is a really mentally healthy person, and he's very intelligent, he's very caring. Um, and so, this might not be the highest paying job, and things like that, but it's something that really makes me happy.
Mhm.
And so that's something that I'm happy with.
Right. And I think that's super important. I think it's not about the money. It should make you happy. Because sometimes, even if you have all the money, you're still not happy, then what will that
Yeah.
money do?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah. And what changes or accommodations would you like to see in workplaces looking ahead to better support individuals who are highly sensitive or maybe who have experienced, trauma or adversity?
Um, so I would say that we all need to work together to advocate, because the people at the top, it's not going to happen from them. The groups and the masses need to work together to make changes. And it's hard because like in the United States right now, we are very divided and we're very siloed and we're not really working together. And if we're not working together, then things aren't gonna improve in any way.
Mhm.
So I would really ask people to work together and advocate for for each other, as a group. And I would say that we need to focus on like a better work-life balance.
Mhm.
Um, like with me, if, you know, I think people know what work-life balance is, so instead of going into that, but we definitely need that.
Right.
Also like maternity leave, that's important for everyone, not just HSPs, but for everyone.
Mhm.
Um, I think that emotional intelligence should be taught at all levels of a company. I recently heard one of the higher ups at my um company taught say that she had to take an emotional intelligence course, and it's like, like there's so many courses that are available to us, and I was really shocked that that was at like a high level and not available at every level.
Right.
Um, and then if I could be queen for a day and make a change, I would have a window of wealth,
Mhm.
because the income gap here is really growing. And for HSPs, I feel like we're canaries in a coal mine. Like we sense things first before others do.
Yeah.
And it's really hard because we're like, hey, this isn't healthy, this isn't good. And people are like, it's fine. And then it hits them and they're like, oh. So I think that work could be distributed more evenly, and so that way people could have more free time to recharge. Because I feel like there are so many people who are overworked, and then
Right.
there's people who are searching for jobs.
Mhm.
And it's if we could even it out, and that way people could take care of their home lives better, be with their families and socialize. So if I could just create a window where there's not the ultra wealthy and there's not poverty,
Mhm.
I think that would really help people with mental health and physical health. And then also, we should have medical and mental health care not in the hands of employers, so that all can get the prescriptions that they need, including medicines for anxiety and depression. So for example, HSPs tend to have lower serotonin levels, and that affects things like mood and appetite.
Mhm.
Um, I did something called so with my HSP and my hypersensitivity, controlling my own mood and my own emotions was really difficult for so many years, and that really made work and life difficult. And I recently found out about something called the a gene site test. And so for like anti-anxiety and antidepressant medicine, what it does is it looks at your individual genes and it gives you three categories, like preferred in the middle, and then like not um what's not best for you. So like I was taking Lexapro and Zoloft to help boost my serotonin, but they had a lot of bad side effects, like weight gain and like lower libido and things like that. And so it was interesting because for the first time I was in charge of my emotions instead of my emotions being in charge of me. But I had those side effects. So this test was about $300. Insurance did not cover any of it, but I was able to find the column of uh, medicines that would work better for me. And so now I'm on a medicine that helps me with serotonin, and it doesn't have such bad side effects like the others do. But again, I didn't know about that until I was older, and insurance doesn't cover it.
Mhm.
So if people could have access to that when they're like teenagers or in their early 20s, and they could get the right medication for their bodies when they need it, what kind of a difference would that make, for so many people?
Right.
But I just wish that it was available to more people and that the medicines were available to more people.
Mhm. Right. And actually, when I wasn't aware that HSPs have low serotonin levels,
Yeah.
that's like something new, but maybe yes, I will, look into it.
Dr. Elaine Aaron, who, is like the
Yeah.
um yeah, Queen of HSP, she had given a speech that was recorded, and she talked about how I think it's called alleles, and so like we tend to have the shorter ones that produce less serotonin. So
Mhm.
there might be like short, 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 long, long, long. And so like long, long would be like the bold people that have lots of serotonin and
Okay. Right. But that's what, like, uh it's a biological thing also. High sensitivity. Some people think like if you're highly sensitive, I remember once I told a person that I'm a highly sensitive individual, and their response was like, how did you become highly sensitive? Did something happen or something? So people think that maybe it is a response to, I mean, like, I don't know, it could be, I'm not sure. But yes, it is a biological thing. Like your nervous system requires, that slow paced lifestyle and, many other things.
yeah, and that's kind of where the highly sensitive versus the hypersensitive.
Hmm.
And it's like with hypersensitivity, that's when something like does happen to you, like adversity and poverty and trauma. And you're kind of on the lookout and you're aware of everything. Whereas the highly sensitive, it's hard to say it, highly sensitive trait, it is genetic and it is just something that we're born with. And so that's kind of and then having both of them has been really hard to navigate and be like, well, I'm in this situation, which one am I actually feeling, and which ones um am I experiencing?
Right. Yeah. It's all, complex life.
I think I'd love to share information about the medicines because that's made such a big difference in my life. You know, having both of these, the highly sensitivity and the hypersensitivity, I've definitely needed um, the medicine to kind of help me be in control of my emotions instead of the other way around. And
Mhm.
I think that if other people could learn about that, um, they could learn that it's available and that, hey, what can we do to make it more accessible to others? So I'd like to share that.
Right. And I also saw like I watched a few videos on your YouTube channel also. Do you want to
Thanks.
talk about that? Your
Sure.
YouTube,
It's a baby YouTube channel.
right? But what is it about? If somebody wants to, go there, what can they expect?
So with my Charisma Lynn YouTube channel, I started out as art and design and jewelry, but I'd really like to turn it into like personal growth and development. I want to do kind of what I've been doing is like reading books that inspire me. And so I want to do episodes on those books and the lessons that I've learned. And so I do want to have like a little bit of like fun videos, like here's how to make some earrings, but then also like, hey, Cassandra Peterson, who played the Elvira character, these are the things that she went through in life, and this is how she overcame them. So I'd like to do a little bit of just fun, but then also like how do you overcome things and do things in a healthy way?
Okay. So I will put the link to your channel also
Thank you
in
so
the
much.
description. Yes, you're more than welcome because I think channel because I also post a lot of stuff on my channel, and I've like over the time I've realized that people benefit from it in different ways. So yes, I think you should definitely do that.
So for now, I watched a lot of your videos on the career development and HSP, and so I learned a lot and connected with that. So I just want to say thank you for doing what you're doing, and then thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, and thank you for making time for this. Look forward to reading your work, and all the very best. And whenever you do that, let's we can have a chat on that also.